I present Jim
Lee.
Thank you so much.
See, I've got a whole thing written, but I think Rachel and I should just sit up here and just handle it ourselves that way. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session of the Presidential Symposium. I'm Jim Lee, Professor of Painting and Drawing and one of the Symposium Committee advisors. In this session, the School of Humanities, Fine and Performing Arts presents The Beauty of Dance, building community and connection through multidisciplinary approaches. The beauty of movement, seeing and embodied action, is what brings most students to dance. Professors of dance, active artists, and pedagogues will share how they manifest the beauty of dance into their craft and their teaching through finding connection and building community. At the end of the session, there'll be a Q&A, so please use the microphones in the aisles when asking your questions. The moderator for this session is Professor Rachel List, Director of the Dance Program, Department of Drama and Dance. Professor List, the dance floor is yours.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to see you all here. My name is Rachel List. Most of you know me, and I'm really extremely proud to present 4 of our dance faculty, Kristen Lee, Caroline Copeland, Maya Redding, and Heather Walden, and I will give a brief bio before each person gives their presentation. And I also want to thank 2 of our lovely accompanists, Nydia Mata and Jennifer Hanlon. Use the mic. All right. We'll try to use the mic. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so Kristen is our first presenter. Kristen Lee is a choreographer, educator, entrepreneur, and proud alumnus of Hofstra University. Kristen co-owned and was director of a successful Long Island-based dance studio for 7 years. She also served on the faculty of Iglevsky Ballet, leading their modern dance curriculum, and was an adjunct professor at Montclair State University and Nassau Community College. Kristen's work questions and conceptualizes explorations of our idiosyncrasies and the human capacity to elicit connection. Her choreography has a go-for-broke theatrical sensibility dedicated to illuminating human conditions and responses. She received her BA in dance from Hofstra University and her MFA in dance from Montclair State University.
Hello. Thank you, Rachel. So the title of my panel today is Dance and Advancing Technology. The vast majority of people on the planet own smartphones. And with that comes a personal and global time capsule, a sleek, germy, ever-evolving technological extension of the human hand. Instead of lamenting the loss of what smartphones have altered, and there is a great deal to regret, depending on your birth date, I hope to shed some light on the possibilities of what our quickly adapting technology can bring to what many think of as staunchly ephemeral, dance. My research stems from a brimming curiosity about the adaptability of human beings to advancing technologies, and more specifically about how dance has altered and remained a steady force in popular culture. The work I create uses improvisation, contemporary gesture, and total theater as a means to world building. I use space to enthusiastically create full mini universes for my dances to live in. My desire to create work outside of traditional proscenium stages has been fostered by my passionate and career-long advocacy for bringing dance to new audiences in my community. In my 15 years as a teaching artist, I have continually witnessed the lack of accessibility to live dance and the societal blind spot to dance as something to invest time or money in. After owning a dance studio for 7 years and before embarking on my higher ed journey, my itch to understand the better inner workings of dance and commerce and the subjective and projective measurability of an artist's worth is where this research began. Artists have long been unconcerned with exciting consumer zeal, but gone are the days of choreographers who can afford to create with blissful resistance. Harsh economic realities bring about desperation and innovation. But how do we measure the worth of an artist? Can we? What controls do we as artists have over our artistic worth? Self-promotion as an artist is inherently contradictory. Selling is antithetical to the very idea of the avant-garde. Commerce and performance intersect on platforms like TikTok or Instagram. Dance is a vital contributor to and beneficiary from emerging technologies. Live performance and presentation are directly related to commerce, branding, and self-fashioning. TikTok and Instagram combine those modes. The self-made entrepreneur is making herself in public. The phrase, "pics" or "it didn't happen," refers to the popular internet mantra that encapsulates the common urge to digitally document experiences far and wide, including Grand Canyon-type shots of majesty, but also an artful latte or an outing to a Broadway show. The instant ability to capture and share moments has become a normal part of the societal experience. Our culture in the United States, for better or worse, has historically valued things that are easily measured, categorized, and archivable. Through the constant presence of social media, we have access to the most intimate self, as both viewer and poster. This positionality can be celebrated and vilified through our scrolling habits. My ongoing research allows me, as an interdisciplinary artist, to interrogate the hidden landmines, avoiding recrimination and winning validation. The performance companion to my research illuminates the impossibilities of confronting the battle of our many out-facing identities and being honest with the in-facing one. In response to being constantly met with my reflection and the virtual reflections of everyone else, peers and strangers alike, my performance research conceptualizes our choices to conceal or reveal parts of ourselves. For me, the beauty of dance lies in its ability to be simultaneously profound and playful, offering a unique space for human connection. It's a form of expression that can speak to deep emotions, whether through humor or more serious moments of introspection. There is beauty in the way dance bridges the gap between the body and the world, creating shared experiences that go beyond words. At the same time, dance is evolving with technology. Social platforms have reshaped how we experience and share dance, turning it into something immediate and global. Yet, despite these rapid changes, it's the ongoing dialogue between tradition and innovation that keeps dance alive, continuously evolving while staying rooted in its essential capacity to express, connect, and provoke thought. We cannot blindly ignore the impact social media is having on dance. The burgeoning efforts of people creating work online can aid in shifting dance's position on a larger societal scale. Instead of dancing in a hall of mirrors, there's an opportunity to share one's unique creative interests with ease and the possibility of reaching outside your immediate audience circle. The future of dance relies upon dance artists and scholars contributing their viewpoints and talents into as many new spaces as possible. As we continue to hypothesize the effects of the isolation and immersion that new technologies bring to our lives, dancers continue to evolve with the changing world around them. And perhaps the flexibility of the ephemerality of dance can be met with less fear and more imagination for the possibilities of the body. Lastly, I would like to contribute to the dance community more opportunities for laughter. Nothing quite pierces the soul like a laugh. And in dance, an art form that is a beloved but arduous career, laughter shouldn't be reserved for rehearsal and dressing rooms. My intention is to always bring it center into my classrooms, rehearsals, and performances. With laughter, there is often an underbelly of something darker percolating. Looking at our own self-image in mirror or screen reflections is an inevitability of our daily lives that can feel overwhelmingly artificial and monotonous. But tragedy and comedy exist not as polarities, but on our common feeds, closer to our fingertips than ever before. I will continue in my work to challenge the emotional desensitization of social media, while also celebrating the possibilities advanced technology can bring to the dance community. Critical introspection will be a necessary component to maintaining a healthy relationship with ourselves and the world as technology develops. I am hopeful of dance's vital role in our necessary adaptations. Dance retains its power to connect us, to make us listen to our bodies and to each other. The adaptability of the body, both in movement and in response to external forces, remains central to the beauty of dance. That's it for that part. Good. And now I'm just going to show you, it's pretty brief, but a part of my master's, yeah, that's me, oh my God, I know. Part of my master's thesis was actually diving myself into this world that was fully unfamiliar to me. I am not a techie person, I am not a social media person, so I went headfirst into that and started a TikTok documenting my process of creating an evening-length work. I'm still in the process of creating that evening-length work. I premiered 30 minutes of it. I am still working on it. So all you're going to see is some behind the scenes and also like a little kind of commercial type video that I made for Instagram. Because part of what I tried to do is make younger audiences feel like they're included in what I'm doing. So the first part has no sound, so don't worry, it's not a problem. I didn't want you to hear everything I was saying. You wouldn't want it. Okay, here we go. No. And I sped some things up. And this dancer is another Hofstra alumni, 2012, from the dance program. We played with gesture that we would find on TikTok, repetitive gestures, and how we could break that down and create movement phrases with them. And I decided to go deep into the beauty and makeup side of TikTok, which if you have ever been on, you kind of can't scroll without seeing someone putting on makeup and talking about something. So that is the theme here. Get ready with me, that's that acronym. And that's also the hashtag in TikTok you can find where you see all that stuff. That was from the performance space.
We are ready to start your makeup, okay? It's super sticky, as you can see. Your eyes, close your eyes, close. Sunshine, skin tint.
Get ready with me while I give you some tips about my foundation technique.
Get ready with me to cry myself to sleep.
Get ready with me to meet my ex who's not my ex.
Get ready with me for my first day of classes.
Get ready with me. What the frick is going on here?
Won't you come with me through this flowering orchard of beauty to welcome the exciting birth of a fabulous new color, a fantastic color like nothing ever known before. It's the lighter, brighter look in a lipstick and nail enamel that's pure allure for you. Revlon's Snow Peach. Snow Peach, Snow Peach, Snow Peach. The color, the girl. Both spirited right out of the Revlon ad in the current Vogue. Here's the look that rocks the Riviera. Snow Peach. A peach with a pink complexion cooling its blushes in the snow. As featured on the cover of Vogue, here's Snow Peach come to life. Look how Snow Peach goes to her head with Mr. John's velvet bow topping. How Seal Chapman frames our Snow Peach princess in Snow White file. And to add new summer brilliance, Vogue's choice for matching lips and fingertips. Snow Peach, a warm, delicious color flirting with cool, cool frost. Snow Peach, Snow Peach, Snow Peach. Here is seen again and again in the pages of Vogue, sun-ripened, snow-dazzled Snow Peach lends its peach blush flattery to any frock you choose. Delicious with everything you wear, everywhere you go. Snow Peach, a soft, rosy peach with no more yellow in it than the sun provides. Terrific with your summer tan, makes your pale complexion look like peaches and cream. Snow Peach, Snow Peach, Snow Peach. Snow Peach, a peach with a pink complexion cooling its blushes in the snow, puts its brilliant glint on you wherever you go. Yes, whether you tan to a golden brown or stay really fair, Revlon puts beauty within your reach with never before Snow Peach. Snow Peach.
One thing for my students, I shot this on an iPhone in my basement with like no budget. So you can make a lot of stuff with just your house. Thank you. Okay, here you go.
So we're going to hear from Caroline now. Caroline Copeland is an embodied, I have to change my glasses here, is an embodied dance historian, choreographer, and educator who specializes in 17th and 18th century ballet and opera. She is an associate director with the New York Baroque Dance Company and a featured performer and choreographer for the Grammy Award-winning Boston Early Music Festival. In the field of Baroque dance, she has performed in over 70 productions and has 50 choreographic credits in film, opera, theater, and concert dance. She is currently on the dance faculties of Hofstra University and SUNY Purchase Conservatory of Dance, and a guest lecturer for Juilliard's Historical Performance Program. She received a BA in dance at Goucher College and an MFA in dance at Sarah Lawrence College.
Thank you. Caroline.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. And welcome to my presentation, The Line of Beauty, a story of discovery and connection. And here we have photographed a dancer from Alonzo King's Lines Contemporary Ballet, which is based in the Bay Area of San Francisco, California. The beauty of what I do as an embodied dance historian, performer, and teacher is revealed in those aha moments, realizations that a static concept expressed on paper, in a treatise, or in a sculpture over a millennia ago is still foundational to movement we embody today. Ancient philosophies are embedded in the lived dance traditions and in the bodies of dancers all over the world. Today, in this presentation, we will follow just one of those ideas expressed in one symbol, the S, or oppositional curve, This expressive line of beauty has the look of ease, the flow of an oceanic tide. It is infinite in length. It represents harmony, but it is also used to express deep human emotions, and it is still considered the embodiment of grace today. Our journey starts in ancient Greece in the 5th century BCE, when the sculptor Polykleitos wrote the Canon, a text that described how beauty and harmony of the body lies in the precision of mathematical proportions. He believed that balance, harmony, and symmetry can be achieved by manipulating those proportions to find what will be termed the golden mean or the golden ratio. It is that sweet spot of idealized perfection that we dancers labor under today. Polykleitos' theories took shape in a bronze sculpture called Doryphorus, or the spear bearer, and his ideas were to influence generations to come. A replica of that statue is pictured in this slide. Fast forward hundreds of years to the turn of the first millennium, to the Romans, who copied Polykleitos' sculpture many times over based on surviving descriptions of his original treatise and sculpture, as both had been lost to antiquity. They recasted his ideals into marble and bronze sculptures for wealthy patrons. But this trend waned from the early 100s to the early Italian Renaissance in the 1300s, when there was a renewed fascination with Greek and Roman antiquity. In sculpture, Polykleitos' ideas took the shape of hyperrealism, with a fixation on physical perfection. Again, an ideal that dancers are all too familiar with today. These were on display in the details of Michelangelo's David, created in the early 1500s and seen here on these slides. The Italian Renaissance artists also coined a term for Polykleitos' oppositional positioning of the human figure during this time period. They called it contrapposto, or counterposing. It is in this same time period that the first ballet treatises were written in Italy. Looking to elevate dancing into the pantheon of its sister arts, the Italian dance instructors adopted the strategies of their contemporary humanist philosophers by looking back to antiquity and using mathematical terms of the ancient Greeks. Words like measure, mean, proportion entered the lexicon of early ballet teachers, and they also began to codify rules, both practical and aesthetic, for their art of dancing. Essentially, these early Italian ballet theorists put Polykleitos' mathematical proportions into the language of motion, an embodiment of beauty in real time. They advised that dancers needed to adopt certain manners or graces in their dancing in order to be pleasing to their audience. They described these graceful motions as a gentle undulation of the body as it moves. And they broke down the concept of grace into two axes, one horizontal and one vertical. First is the oppositional spiral on the horizontal axis, which was called ondeggiare. This is the wave-like legato action that ripples up through the body from the ground while traveling through space. And they likened it to coasting on the soft waves while riding in a gondola. We do not use this 15th century term anymore, but regardless, it is an active element in many steps of all eras of ballet through contemporary dance today. The second action is on the vertical plane, and they refer to that as ombreggiare, or the shading of the shoulders. French dance instructors will call this épaulement in the 18th century, and that is the term that we still use in ballet class today. It is this element of spiral in the torso that gives a dancer style in ballet. So, mid-mini lecture movement break, if everybody, you can do this sitting or standing. I recommend standing. Let's have a moment of style and grace, a la the Italian Renaissance. So, if you want to have style, you have to have your weight on one foot or the other. Choose one. And then you have to rotate, spiral your heart space towards whatever foot is in front. So, everybody just do a little spiral. Style. I have style. Take a picture. Take a look at that. called shape. This is called style. So I joked with ballet class, but if we don't have this like spiraling of the torso, then our ballet is lacking style according to some people's ideas. The other thing is, without hurting the person next to me, let's just find this gentle undulating motion of the hand traveling sideways through space. So this is the idea of ondeggiare. It's a wave-like action on the horizontal plane. All right, so now you can also. So I'm going to show you, going through time, how to take the vertical spiral and the horizontal spiral and how that's carried through in dance practice. So I'm going to start in 15th century Italy. Of course, I can start with style. So that means my weight's on one foot or the other. I'm in my contrapposto posing. I'm spiraling, and I'm going to show you a bow from the Italian Renaissance. I lift my leg, I sweep it to the back, I rock from back to front. Style. I'll do this side. And I'm going to go into the very first step of a pavane, which is a processional dance of the Renaissance. Spiraling, waving, undulating action. So 15th century, 16th century Italy. Let's move to 17th century France, 1704. They developed a system of dance notation, which I still use today when I'm reconstructing operas from that time period. And I'm going to do 8 measures from a dance called the Folli di Spagna from 1704. I have to start with style. That means I have to spiral the shoulders. And I'm going to do these wave-like actions of the temps de France. I float forward. I ebb back. I float forward. I float to the side and to the back. And the very action of the waves of the sea are in the motions of the dance. Moving towards 19th century ballet, we have tagliere. This is the Romantic era arms. Tagliere. The most popular dance form was the waltz. We come with that in ballet class with balances, waltz turns. We finish in maybe an adagio with a grand tour de bras, circular action. Woo! Big like wave action. So let's go into early modernism, which also starts at the end of the 19th century. There are fundamental principles that carry through to early modern dance. We have from Dalcroze, the swing. Anybody take Dalcroze? Rhythm classes? Any musicians here? We get the swing from Dalcroze, the successive actions of Delsarte, who was interested in expressive gesture, and out of that comes the dancing of Isadora Duncan, Loie Fuller with her skirts. We have the swing of Doris Humphrey, Charles Weidman, Jose Limon, the dramatic spiral of Brand, right? But then what happens is, Asodata da Flora comes from West Africa to the United States and shows us that this rippling action can happen in the arms, it can happen on the sagittal plane of the spine, it can happen with the pelvis. So how do we get at contemporary dance? We take all these actions from Limon, from Humphrey, from Graham, and then we start to move with Asodata da Flora and Atkins Dunn spiraling of the whole body, and then you get into contemporary dance. Break over. Moving forward into the Enlightenment era of the 18th century, Polyclitus's oppositional perfection was recoined with the phrase line of beauty by the British artist William Hogarth. In his treatise, An Analysis of Beauty, which he wrote in 1753, Hogarth compares the beauty of waving lines, some more linear, some more curvaceous, and it seems from his writing that he prefers the more acute curves when he describes that the most beautiful lines of dancing are the waving lines of a minuet, which was the most popular dance form in the 18th century. So we can see in these slides, I'll do another demonstration moment. First slide here is all about how the minuet was about genteel graces, the unfurling of an arm. I would like to dance with you. And then you say, oh, I would like to accept. These are all waving and spiraling arms. Then we get into how the dancers relate to each other. Their hearts that's considered the most gracious way to carry oneself through society. We contain our own passions while being sensitive to the needs and passions of others. And that's what the minuet was all about. And then you take these graces and spiral, and then you put that into a step, the minuet step, and the patterning in space, which was the Esther. And then suddenly you have an expression of this line of beauty on all different planes. The ondeggiare, the ombreggiare, but also how the dancers are relating to each other through the space. Moving forward to the 19th century, Hogarth's line of beauty is shortened by ballet instructors to just one word, line, right? Ballet teachers no longer refer back to Hogarth, the Italian Renaissance, or Polykleitos in their lessons, but we keep repeating this word over and over again, but I think we've lost the narrative thread. We know from geometry class that a line is a straight but infinite pathway, and sometimes our actions are more linear and direct. But the OG line in dancing is neither linear nor static. It is a dynamic action that may lead to a balance or a pose. It has a beginning, it has an end, and the connecting pathways are always circular, arcing, or based on this spiral. So as seen from the quote on this slide, ballet does not hold a monopoly on waving lines of beauty in the dance. One can see echoes of ancient Greece and the ideas of Polykleitos in the work of early modern dancers like Isadora Duncan, seen here, skipping alongside the ocean, whom she described as her first partner in the dance, as well as the work of Loie Fuller, who used light and fabric to echo the beauty and the power of nature. And in the first generation of modern dance, Martha Graham will fuse the vertical spiral of the classical line of beauty with a deeply felt contraction and release, while also adding an angularity of shape reflected in concurrent early modern art to create movements that reflected the human condition, unadorned, without filigree, and as some critics would charge, without beauty or grace. But as Graham famously retorted, ugliness may be beautiful if it cries out with power. The line of beauty is all around us, a mathematical formula, a prime mover of the universe and of our bodies. It is expressed in the swirl of the galaxies, the shell of a snail, the ways in which our muscles wrap, join, and intersect around our bones. It is the spiraling actions of outward rotation and inward rotation, the very core of the basic movements in our everyday lives. So I would like to finish where we began with an exquisite photograph of a dancer from Alonzo King, Line's contemporary ballet. His work draws on many themes, but ideals of grace and line are at the physical heart of his aesthetic. Nature is everything. It's the first pirouette in whirlpools and eddies, and the earth on its axis going around the sun, the rising and falling, the mechanics and physics. It's all in ballet. People think ballet started with Catherine de' Medici. No, it is much deeper than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. All right. And we are moving along now. Our next speaker will be Maya Redding. Maya Redding is a choreographer and educator raised in Chicago, Illinois, and is now a full-time resident of New York City. She graduated from SUNY Purchase College in 2016 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in dance. In 2022, she earned her Master of Fine Arts degree in dance from Hunter College and assumed the position of adjunct professor at Hofstra University. While pursuing her MFA, she had the opportunity to serve as an adjunct lecturer at Hunter College and Montclair State University, teaching ballet, modern, and jazz. This year, Maya assumed the full-time position of special assistant professor at Hofstra University and continues to choreograph works for junior repertory, various dance companies, and to create dance films that give a voice to the voiceless.
Hello, everyone. So I'm so excited to speak to you all today because I'm going to be talking about the beauty of collaboration, specifically through creating dance films. So within this presentation, I'm going to take you through a long ride of how to create a dance film. All right. Okay, so the first thing, obviously, that you have to do is come up with an idea. Whatever concept or theme that you would like to come up with, that is where you start. And that starts with brainstorming. So for me, I like to be able to brainstorm with the director of the project that I'm working on. And you really want to be bold enough to believe in your concept, but also see it all the way through. So for me, the concept and content of my films has to do with poetry in motion. I like to use poems and like to have some sort of narration to guide the film through from the beginning to the end. Also, organization is super important when you're coming up with ideas and all of that, especially during the beginning of the process. It's super important to have a Google Doc, something that you and the director share, so in times when you're not together, if you have an idea, you're able to write that down and so the other person can see it. And also, as you're coming up with context or themes, you really want to dive deep. You really want to think about, like, what am I willing to share? How am I open, and how am I going to share this concept? And then also, who is your audience? What do you have to say? What's the message? Who are you trying to reach? And then once this idea is reached, the team figures out how to explore it. And the number one thing that you really have to think about is, who do you want on your team? Who do you want to be the director of production? Who do you want to be the editor? Who do you want to be the director, which I think is the most important part because the director guides the film. All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the artist, what I like to call the artist cocoon. And that basically happens after you have your brainstorming meeting. And that's basically where you go your separate ways. So for me as a choreographer, that's when I get in the dance studio, start rehearsals with the dancers and the cast, and really start to form what I call chapters of each section of the piece. And it's really important to be able to guide your dancers through the process, but also share that experience with your team. So for example, as I'm choreographing, I like to have the director come to various rehearsals, and then for us to do a draft of different shots that we would like to do before the actual shoot day. So it's really important to communicate during the process. For example, with a lot of the films that I do, the director that I hire is also the writer of the film. So during that artist cocoon process, she takes time to write and also get inspired by the films and also get inspired by the dance that I create. So this film that I'm actually about to show you is a film that I did called Home. And it is a love letter to dancers, and it's basically a documentary and also shows dance as well. And it has the dancers that are in the cast talking about their experiences as dancers, and the reality that dance is something that isn't only that you choose, it's a part of who you are. So this is going to be a clip of the frustrations of being a dancer and an artist.
Where I didn't want to dance anymore. And I didn't even know if it was like burnout or depression, but weirdly, when dance doesn't feel right, it still feels right. It still feels like the only thing that works. And I feel like normally I can articulate myself very well, but still never as well as when I'm dancing.
I think it's a constant struggle of like, this is what I love to do, and it may never be enough in many circumstances, but I would never trade the experience, the discipline, the rigor for anything. I still would find so much joy in that, even if I never book anything or never find an opportunity that I'm made for. There's so much beauty in the experience that I've had as a dancer, so I feel like I would hold on to that even if nothing ever came out of it.
I think what's hard and what's beautiful often are connected I think one of the hardest parts about being a dancer and an artist is that you might not ever be satisfied. In fact, likely you'll never be satisfied. The vulnerability that comes with being seen, I think, also comes with a lot of trust in yourself that you deserve to be seen.
I think it's a constant struggle of maybe never seeing yourself in that position. Especially where I am, like with auditioning, it's the search of just like being okay with the no and moving forward, and using those no's as like fuel for the next opportunity. I try to use this mantra of like, what's for me is for me, and maybe this job or opportunity isn't for me, but I know there's something out there. So it's kind of just like being okay with not receiving every yes and every possibility. And I think that's what makes me feel okay in the search of finding what is for me.
Every day, it's a choice every day, I feel. Every day I think I have to choose dance over again.
My name is, you know what? It doesn't really matter. This is what I have to offer you and the world, if anyone is even listening. The artist is the one who is up all night. The artist is the one who looks lost. The artist is the one who fears no tyrant because it just becomes the next piece. The artist is the one who cries out with a pen. The artist is the one who finds safety in a brush. The artist is the one whose enemy is the blank spaces, because that's where there is uniformity and potential. The artist is the one who retorts injustice. The artist is the one who rips at the seams. The artist is the one who screams at the world, because it seems no one will listen. But never does that stop the artist, for the artist is the one of persistence, a never-ending fire that burns inside, a passion that will never die. Without the artist, our world will crumble. Without the artist, our life will go gray. Without the artist, our days would be lonely, because that's when the blank spaces win. It's the color that bursts from the mind. It's the thought that paints the sky. It's the music that gives us hope, because it's only with the artist we see reason to be alive.
All right, great. So with this film, oh, thank you. So with that film in particular, and especially that scene, I wanted to create an image. If you see people on the train performing, I wanted it to be that sense of desperation to be seen, and how when you're on the train, you might be on your phone and not really paying attention to the people around you. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the kickoff, which is basically the day that you shoot. Or actually, I'm sorry, before that, yes, is the kickoff. And basically, during that time, that's when you're preparing for the unexpected. You have a shot list, and basically a shot list is preparing you for what shots you would like to do that day and making sure that you're staying on task. And it's really important to be organized before going into the shoot day. You want to know exactly what you're going to do. You want to know the time limit of each shot, so then you're not wasting too much time, because more than likely you're going to have to pay for the amount of hours that you're in that space. And then also you have to really seek out different locations. It takes a lot of research to be able to do it. So for me, it's really important, like let's say if I'm booking the space for 5 hours, I add an extra hour on there just in case it's taking too much time or a little bit longer than usual. And also, it's really important to prepare, because there was an experience that I had where it was a film called Evolution of Womanhood, which you're going to see a clip of later. The person that we rented the space from decided to not show up. And then when he called, we only had 3 hours instead of 6 hours to film the piece. So it's really important to be organized, because in a situation like that, if we weren't, we probably wouldn't have been able to get all the shots that we needed done. So it's also very important to understand, especially with dance, dancers are not robots. So you need to be able to give them breaks in between, because if you keep repeating each shot like 6 or 8 times, then the dancers are going to get tired. So it's really important to implement breaks within the shoot day as well. So the next thing that I am going to go through with you, sorry, there we go. All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is actually my least favorite part. And this part is basically what we do with editing. And it's really, really important to make sure that you are you are together with your director, number one. And then number two, it's also really important to be very tedious with the shots that you choose. So for example, when I have the end of a shoot day, we'll have like a Google Drive, and on that Google Drive, it'll be up to 100 different shots. And during that time, we have a week off to really just go through all those shots and pick our favorite ones. So then when we go into the editing process, we have shots that we want to play with and shots that we want to explore. And during COVID, actually, I was in school and I was getting my thesis together, which was a dance film, and we had to do it through Zoom. And we were on there for like 3 hours just editing just one scene. So it's really important that you really take the time to edit, even if it takes a long time. So I'm going to end with this, and then I'm going to show you the last clip. These are my rules for collaborating. So know who you are in the process. It's really important to be aware of your identity and your role within the process, and stick to it. You really want to fight for your vision. It's important to know that there possibly could be conflict, but also you want to stand in your own, but also still at the same time be open. You have to leave your ego at the door. There are people that are on your team that know way more than you do. And it's very important to be humble in that and say, I have hired you for a reason. So even though you have to fight for your vision, it's important to stay open to new ideas. Also, communication is important. When we're creating a film, like for example, with this film that I'm about to show you, it took 3 months. And within those 3 months, myself, the director, the DP were really, really in communication all the time. So this is the last clip that I'm going to show you. It's from my film Evolution of Womanhood, and you'll see a familiar face in there. And it's really, it's probably one of my favorite shots and edits, because when you see it, it kind of goes back and forth between me doing the phrase as a solo and the 4 other dancers dancing with me. All right. Thank you all so much. If you want to watch the full clips or the full films, it's on my website, mayaredding.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Heather Walden. For 7 years, Heather Walden danced for Boston Ballet, where she performed classics like Swan Lake to works by Mark Morris, Bill T. Jones, and Twyla Tharp. With Twyla Tharp's recommendation, Heather joined Hubbard Street and began expanding her dance experiences. Realizing she wanted to work more closely with choreographers, she started freelancing between San Francisco, Boston, and New York City. She is a founding member of the Sean Curran Company, where she later became Associate Artistic Director. She has set Sean Curran's work at NYU Tisch, Montclair University, Alvin Ailey Fordham, Hofstra University, and Boston Conservatory. After retiring, Heather taught at NYU Tisch, Charlotte Ballet, and Hofstra University, where she continues working. She has been a teaching artist for the Mark Morris Dance Group's Dance for PD, Parkinson's, for over 10 years. Through Dance for PD, she teaches at Northwell Glen Coves Hospital Parkinson's Disease Rehabilitation Program, as well as at the 80th Street Residence, which specializes in memory care. Heather.
Okay. All right. So I'm a dancing artist, not a speaking artist, so here we go. The beauty of dancing beyond the stage. And I want to thank Rachel List massively for this and the other presenters, because it's such an honor to be with all of you on this. Why did we do this? Oh wait, I know why. The beauty of dance. So this is the beauty of dancing beyond the stage, and I'm going to start with a story. Joe had taken class from me, and it was the end of class, and he said to me, Heather, come here. So I just recently started taking dance class, and I rarely went to the ballet. I've rarely gone to see a dance performance, and I don't do the electric slide at a wedding. But here I am studying dance at Juilliard, and it's because of Parkinson's. So then he went on, and this is what I love about Joe, is he has a sparkle in his eye, and he said, Heather, Parkinson's sucks. And I said, okay. And then he's like, but you know what? I found the beauty of dance. And Parkinson's is what led me to this. So Juilliard is one of the sites that hosts the Mark Morris Dance Group's Dance for PD, which we now officially can say is researched backed, I should say. All right, so I grappled with talking about how I was going to talk about sharing the beauty of dance with people affected by neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's. Parkinson's interrupts its host. They experience muscle rigidity, tremors, challenging balance, gait, and speech, and often there is dementia connected to it. It diminishes the quality of life. Where is the beauty in this? Where? And then I thought of Lucy. Lucy would take my class on Thursday evenings at the JCC on the Upper West Side. And she said it was one of the most, well, actually she said it's the most exciting part of her week, which I thought, oh my God, this is your most exciting part of the week. I better deliver the goods. But she said it's where I discover joy, it's where I discover community, and it's where a group of people who are sharing a disease that takes away so much from their life, they're studying the beauty of dance together and the benefits. The American Academy of Neurology recommends a regular exercise regime of those facing Parkinson's. Now that exercise regime ironically includes boxing, which also can cause Parkinson's because of head injuries. I always found that kind of ironic. And so I look at dance as a form of exercise. A dance class is a form of exercise, but what makes dance different? All right, we have dance sequences or choreography, as my amazing colleagues demonstrated. And in it is a multifaceted way of approaching movement. It addresses balance, gait, coordination, breath, focus, velocity, and physical strength and physical opposition. So I'm going to walk away from here and be loud enough here. A lot of people with Parkinson's have a dominant side, so they walk and switch. I call it classical lateral movement. But with dance, we can do, am I talking loud enough? Really? Wait, no, just this. Oh, okay, here I am. And we have opposition when you're walking, like this. We work with the people with Parkinson's with that. Can I hand this back to you? All right. And the great part about it is that I'm going to get to the special sauce. What makes dance different? Come on. What makes it different? Sure, I love it, but no. Oh, come on. What did you say? Music. Special sauce. Yeah, there's that sauce there. Music not only supports dance, but it is scientifically known to help individuals with Parkinson's walk. Now you add on the gracefulness of ballet, the inventiveness of modern dance, and then the dynamics of what we just saw with Maya, jazz and theatrical dance, and there you have an attractive, involved way of exercising. So it's also a socially based shared activity in a supportive environment. I felt like that was a very exciting way of saying the deliberate togetherness. Deliberate togetherness happens in a dance class, and that is naturally part of it. It bolsters the idea of what we're doing. And also I look at it as almost like dancing medicine. So an empty dance studio is where something can be created out of nothing. It's where dancers strengthen their bodies, pushing themselves out of their comfort zones, honing their physical problem-solving skills while deepening their artistry. The same can be found in a Dance for PD class. It just looks different. So there lies the beauty. I love teaching to a different able-bodied population. It drives my curiosity about how dance can be taken from the studio and theater and how it can make an impact beyond that. Researchers continue to investigate the role of dance in supporting Parkinson's therapies and other movement disorders. Now, I continue educating myself about the disease, but when I create a class, I do it for the dancing part. The dancing experience is the main part of this. I think about making a phrase that combines a hand gesture, like rock, paper, scissor, and then I might throw in a little Bob Fosse. You got the dip, you got the dip. All right. And then we must honor, when we talked about ballet, a ballet-inspired waltz. So it's a collage of movement that comes in and addresses gait. It addresses coordination, velocity. And it's not in a physical therapy kind of setting. It's in this setting with music supporting this. And I always like to say, rather than focusing on the challenges, why not focus on the possibilities? Dance for dance's sake. Now, my Mondays here in Long Island involve often teaching you talented bunch, ballet, very able bodies, and then I'll jump in my car and drive to Glen Cove Hospital, where I will then teach in a clinical setting, which was a new approach for the Dance for PD group. We were approached by Lyubov, I can never say her first name, Lyubov, Dr. Rubin. Just call her Dr. Rubin, okay? I love her. She approached the Mark Morris dance group, Dance for PD, and said, I feel like we should do a collaboration. And it came sort of out of this, like, it's in a clinical setting, people are there for 2 weeks straight who have Parkinson's, and they're doing a lot of physical therapy, cognitive therapy, speech therapy, art therapy, and she said, let's throw dance in there. It is the only rehabilitation like it in New York State right now. So Northwell is impressively doing well, and look at that. You know what I mean right now? Northwell, yeah, thank you, Larry, yeah, okay, yeah. So I go in there, and I never know who I'm going to have, because sometimes we'll have people who've had a brain injury or stroke, sometimes dementia, not a lot, that's another part of that I won't go into today. So I'll walk in and I'll have a class figured out, and then I'll see who's in there and go, wow, I have to change everything on the spot. And I'm like, well, that's where my dance skills come in really handy. So I figure out what can happen, and I look, engage at the room. And once again, it's going into a room where you can make something out of nothing, which is so exciting. So you go into this clinical setting, and this past Monday, I had 4 individuals that all had Parkinson's. They're usually at late onset, so often they're in wheelchairs, or they're referred to as fall risks, so we do not have them stand at all. So it's all using their upper body. Now, you're going to have something thrown at you. If they've had a stroke, then I'm dealing with someone who does not have a side that is working well. So we have to work with that. Great. Throw it at me. I'm ready. I always ask the individuals your name. I say my name. I rarely ask them how they're doing, because that can trigger anxiety. It can make them uncomfortable. So I talk about the weather, so we can look out the window, and music. Now this past week, I got the biggest challenge, Jim. Oh, I love Jim now. Jim came in, and often with Parkinson's, their faces lack expression because of it. Sadly, it's an area that they do lose expression, and their eyes get a vacancy. But they're there, and you know they're there. Jim had that look, and I could tell he wasn't too thrilled about being in a dance class. And I was like, sir, I am going to get you to like dance, I think. Then I asked Jim, what kind of music do you like? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, great. It's all right. I got this. I'll come back to you, Jim. Dottie came in and said she liked the 50s and 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s now. And I said, so basically everything. Janet was also in that vein. And David was hesitant to use his voice because his speech he was having difficulty with his speech. He also was struggling with his medication, because there's a sweet spot with their medication that everything kind of connects and then goes away. So he was struggling, and I looked at Jim and said, okay, we can work with that. I got you. I'm going to play something and we'll see where it goes. Started the class, we did the whole class, and at the end I asked each of them, how did you feel? Dottie, relaxed and inspired, great. I loved what Janet said. Dancing neurons. I was like, ooh, I love that. David, tired but good. So he actually was able to, after doing that movement, something kicked in. I don't know if it's medication or if it was the music and the environment, but I feel like something happened in David that kind of woke him up. Jim, I like the Beach Boys. And I'm going to say this to the person who's signing next to us. You? Okay. So I'm not a singing artist, but Wouldn't It Be Nice? And is this right for night? So I taught myself some sign language and threw in Wouldn't It Be Nice? And then I threw in To Be Together. I know this isn't together, but I figured this was a good gesture of together. And we went through it, and he found the joy in it. And he said, oh, I like the Beach Boys. And I was like, great. Now, Jim's wife, Millie, was there. She doesn't have Parkinson's, but she was gung-ho all the way. And I asked her, how did you feel? And she's like, I loved it. It was really challenging. So that's part 1 of me talking about it. Now, part 2 is you're going to do a little phrases. We're going to do 2 phrases. Okay? But what's really exciting is I have the talented musicians here. Nydia Mata, and then Jennifer Heinlein. Yes? All right? Now, am I going to have to use the microphone?
What are you going to do?
Because I need my arms. I'm going to talk really loud.
There we go.
We're going to start with the 3-4. Oh, guess what you're going to do? Rock, paper, scissors. And before you do this, though, if you have your legs crossed, Larry, why don't you put them down on the floor? Okay? So have your feet on the floor here. Everyone, you're joining in. All right? I'm going to make you dance the last thing I do. So you've got your feet on the floor here, and you're sitting comfortably. Now, I also encourage you, if you're seated, to come a little bit forward.
Go on. Keep going.
Okay,
It's all right.
a little bit more from your seat so that you have weight into your feet. Okay, now we're cooking. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Thank you, Caroline, for our next Inspirata. Through, up, up, up. Take it back down. Look at that. Oh, I love right in the room there. All right. Now we have a gesture going up and down, across, across. So we've just gone across our midline, very important for people with Parkinson's. And now you're going to go tight, and I expect all of you to go, ha! Ha! Ha!
please have the four panelists back up? Thank you, everyone. That was really beautiful, actually. You should have seen it from the front. You're dancing. So we have time for a few questions, I think. And if anybody has a question, you need to run around to the microphones and ask your question. Did you have a question, Ava? No? Does anybody have a question? Do you all have a question for each other?
Oh. Oh, I didn't think of that. Wow.
Okay, I have a question.
You have one.
Oh, great. Pull it down. There we go.
Hi. So this one's for Kristen. Is it Kristen?
Kristen.
Kristen.
Yeah. Kristen, sorry. When you made your film, like, what were the main, like, subjects you were thinking about when you were doing, like, Get Ready With Me and making that your big theme?
Oh. I was trying to dive into one small specific thing that I was seeing on TikTok. And then from that one tiny trend, which is kind of huge on TikTok, I wanted to dig into every aspect of it. What am I seeing? So it's a person speaking while putting on makeup, while also selling you something. They're pretending they're not selling you something, but they are. They're all selling you something, whether it says, you know, or not on those posts. So that was interesting to me because it's so against everything that we do to just be selling ourselves at all times, but we are when we're in when we audition. Yes. That is what we do. So I was trying to like bridge those things. Like this feels so foreign to me, but then it's not. I was trying to bridge both worlds, and I also loved the kind of the feminist part of it, like the going back into like what did beauty ads look like and going down that hole because it's like a commercial. What does it mean to share, you know, your vulnerability, whether with a bare face or with, you know, going on a live TikTok, and that's so weird to me, you know. So I was trying to. It was a lot of things I was trying to explore. That's just a tiny video, but I try more in my live work too. You know, a lot of things.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for asking. I don't know if I answered it.
So Maya, how does dance studios collab with choreographers?
Dance studios?
Yes.
Well, most of the time at dance studios, the faculty members or the teachers are choreographers, but if they would like to have a guest choreographer come in, they would usually reach out to them through email or phone, and what usually happens during that process is you talk to them about what they would like to do, or what let's say if there's a concept that the school really is looking forward to doing, like let's say if it is about social media or if it is about this sense of wanting to show your identity, you talk to that choreographer about it, and then afterward the choreographer decides if they want to be a part of it. And if they do, then the choreographer goes into their artist cocoon, and then they start working with the dancers, and then they start to shape the work.
The choreographer that got DM'd, like the person who DMs a choreographer will like finalize the dance. So
absolutely.
I've seen that on Dance Moms.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I've seen that in kickline teams too.
Yep.
With captains and stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, go ahead.
Hi. This might kind of be a more Caroline's discussion leaning question, but I was wondering if we kind of think that non-dance communities and people are like tuned in with what the changing ideas of beauty are as we progress through time. Like we discussed this morning when men would only turn on like quarter point, and then we discovered it was more beautiful on a full point. So do you think the kind of public is like tuned into that? And do you think dance is received better when it's our ideas of beauty like technically, or more of a human kind of movement?
Oh.
Interesting.
Well, that's like super complicated and an excellent question. And I personally don't like laboring under ideals of beauty, which is why I love certain kinds of forms of expression more than others, but I don't believe in a hierarchy in terms of form of expression. So what is true in some time periods is that the upper classes decided what beauty was, and they decided, dance instructors lived in a gig economy just like we do today, right? We're doing many different kinds of jobs, right? I do a lot of different jobs every single week, every single day. So that was always true, and I think dance instructors, what they did, how they made money, were selling this idea that you should learn how to dance in order to be a better member of society. That's not just true for European countries. I think it's true for cultures all around the world. And so ideals of beauty are tricky. Even in ballet, this idea that three-quarter press is more beautiful than quarter press, I would disagree with. Why? Because I'm a shapeshifter and I dance through time. And flat and quarter press and half and three-quarter press are all beautiful to me because they're useful. And I find that things that are really useful are also really beautiful. Because ultimately, we're in the business of moving and motion. And so I think what they felt was the most beautiful thing is when somebody, which maybe goes back to TikTok, this idea that a person, whatever they're doing in space and in time, if they look like they are in ownership of what they're doing and have agency over what they're doing and they're comfortable moving in space and time, that was considered beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. I think Kelly has a question.
My question is for everyone, even Rachel. Why do you love dance? And why do you teach it?
Whoa. Heather, why don't you go first since you haven't had a chance to speak?
Wow. Well, I love dance because I love the organization of what happens in a ballet class, because I like the organizing part of that. I also hate dance because of a lot of problematic things that come out of it, especially coming from a ballet background. And I was very fortunate to join a company when I did, but I now look at it, I look back on it now, and I am sort of horrified by what I accepted was beautiful. So that's something that I'm like, oh, how do I redo that? It's one of the reasons I went into Dance for PD is that I stopped dancing for 4 years to have nothing to do with it, and I helped run a construction company, which I didn't put in my bio.
Put that in.
Because I needed to figure something else out, and Dance for PD brought me back into the fold of it because it was the first piece I ever did with Sean Curran, was called Where I End and We Begin. And it always took me to a moment where I was like, dance is for when we begin and the community of it. So that is one of the driving factors for me with dance. And also, I do love the form, absolutely.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So for me, I can answer this question in two ways because I see myself as an educator and a choreographer. And as an educator, the reason why I love dance is mentorship. Connecting with students, kind of raising the new generation of dance is truly my purpose as an educator, and being able to connect with so many beautiful and talented artists and seeing them evolve over, especially being an educator here over 4 years, it is just such a beautiful experience to watch them become artists, but then also learn who they are through dance. So that is really beautiful to me. As a choreographer, my intention has always been to give a voice to the voiceless. And with films like Home, where it's kind of revealing dancers beyond the body, but in their spirit and in their soul, and as humans, that is something that I am truly enamored with. And I just love that part of being a choreographer in tackling content that maybe is controversial and might kind of spark some interest and also kind of disrupt as well. So I find that to be my purpose as a choreographer, is to really disrupt and give a voice to the voiceless.
Do we want to answer this question? I just think dance is joy. That's it. It's my quickest access point to joy besides my 2 babies. For me, it's joy and seeing it and experiencing it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nancy. I just love dancing. I've always danced since I was little. And I love making connections between history and dance and arts and science, and making connections for myself and helping students make connections, having agency over what you are learning, so you know why you're learning it and whether you agree or disagree with it. Those are things I find important as an educator. And I love rhythm, and I love music, and I love dancing to our wonderful live accompanists. We're just so blessed here at Hofstra. Go ahead, Nancy.
Yes, I wanted to ask, how do you deal with the issue of defending dance to the non-dance community? And I'm lucky enough to be able to take classes of dance, but even then, I have to defend why dance, why not writing or philosophy or something else. So how do you deal with that professionally and psychologically?
We're always making arguments for why dance. They've been doing this in European cultures, that not every culture has to make an argument for dance.
Right.
Yeah.
There are communities that just accept that dance is an important part of the community for religious and social reasons. But in this country, we have to make an argument for it, and they did it in the Italian Renaissance by going back to Polyclitus and saying, oh, look, they dance in the Bible, it's moral. Plato talks about it, Socrates talks, it's ethical. You know, so hey, look, we're using terms like math. You know, we're connecting with science, we're connecting with medicine. Look, we're connecting with film. Look, I'm connecting with history, with art history, geometry, you name it. Like this, and I keep making the argument over and over and over again. I don't know if it's just that we don't have a strong sense of dance education in our country as a whole. Yeah. And if we had that early on, we wouldn't have to make this argument. People would just know how valuable it is to express yourself and have your community express themselves through movement.
I'm so sorry, but I think we actually have to end on that note. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Nydia, come and ask your question to us personally. But we have to say goodbye.
Heather kind of answered my question. My question was, I knew when I was at least by 4, my mom bought me my first set of drums when I was like 5.
Yeah.
And I made it very clear to her that I was born to drum. So my question was, did you guys know you were born to dance?
We
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming.